everybody, welcome back. Monday Morning Briefing, episode number 91. It's February the 13th, 2023. A little friendly reminder for you guys out there, if you haven't already, you might want to go out and get your gal a little something, because tomorrow is Valentine's Day. It's the same day every year, but this year it's on the 14th. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you might want to go ahead and knock that out, and that way you're not in trouble tomorrow for forgetting. Real quick, it's been a couple weeks since we've had a Monday briefing. Just been busy on saddles like we talked about in the last briefing. We're trying to get some off our list this year and try to get kind of a little bit caught up. We've got one that's finished there behind me. If you follow us on Instagram, you may have seen that one and seen it as we went along building it, but we did finish it last week, and so I will show you some of that here in just a minute. But also, since the last Monday briefing, we also had a project video go out, and it was for this sideways knife sheath. This is for a trapper style. Most popular knife that most people carry is a double blade trapper. That's what this knife sheath fits. The only thing different with this one is it is a sideways knife sheath. This was a redesign. I talk about in the video kind of where the pattern came from. I actually designed this, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and so we kind of modified it a little bit and cleaned it up and went ahead and made a video for this. It's been doing really well, and I want to thank everybody that's purchased that pattern. It is a digital only pattern pack, so if you do buy that pattern, remember you'll get a download link for the PDF file, and then you can print that out on your own printer. It's just 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, and that way you don't have to wait on a mail or pay postage or anything like that. But it's been doing really well. It's a fun little sheath to make. In fact, I found a reason to use my horse butt strips that we bought back before Christmas. I was back there playing around, and I went ahead and clicked one out and made it, and it turned out really well out of that horse butt. I think that horse butt's like 5-6 ounce, and made it a little bit light, but that stuff is so dense and so firm that I thought it'll probably make pretty good, easy knife sheath. So I went ahead and made a couple of them. They're on the sales floor. We might pop some of those on the website at some point. But if you're looking for a really good little project that's kind of popular, for some reason the sideways ones are the horizontal sheaths are more popular, and some people like them. I'm not a big, huge fan of them overall, just because as they get loose, the knife can fall out. Somebody did mention that you can put a strap, flap with a snap on there. Absolutely, you can do that. That would be very easy to modify and to add that to that if you prefer. Me personally, on any of my knife sheaths that I use every day, I don't like to have a flap on there because I want to be able to get it without having to fumble with a flap and a snap. That's just something else to break and get in the way, particularly when you're putting it back. It's not so much getting it out of the sheath, it's putting it back in the sheath. You've got to fiddle and keep that out of the way. But if you like doing that with a little flap and snap, you can definitely modify these. But that one's been doing really well, and we want to thank everybody for that. We also offer the material packs for these, so if you're wanting to just buy them pre-clicked out, that way all you got to do is tool them and throw them together. If you're going to a little trade show or a market days, or maybe for your shop or whatever, you want to put some in there available for customers to purchase, then that's a very efficient way to make up a dozen or 2 dozen of these, is just to go ahead and get them already clicked out, and then you don't have to hand cut all these things. It'll save you a lot of time. As far as material packs and things, we did add some stuff last week on the From the Cut Bench page there under Leathercraft on our website in the store. I went back there and I had little boxes of just culls and different things that, they were guitar straps, some of them were rifle slings. There was just a bunch of little things that I had cut out probably right around Christmas time, just because I was trying to cut some projects for myself. And so instead of cutting one, went ahead and cut 2 or 3, and some of them might have had some blemishes and things like that. So we added a bunch of that kind of just little odd lot stuff onto the From the Cut Bench page on our website. So if you haven't been there in a while, you might go there and check it out. I'm not sure what all's left. People kind of found it and did purchase and take advantage of some of those, but I think there's quite a bit left. We've got a bunch of leather that I need to go through, which is always the case. There's always plenty of leather back there for me to turn into something, but we've been kind of camped out here at the workbench, so I haven't had a whole lot of time back there. So if we are out of some of the material packs on the website, I apologize. We're trying to get those refilled. I've got plenty of leather. I feel like I've got plenty of leather left to go ahead and refill, like the belts and the guitar straps and things like that we might be out of. But it's just a matter of me getting back there, getting those cut and getting them on the website. So, but we'll try to do that maybe this week now that one saddle's done. I've got this other one behind me as well that we're about to finish up, so we'll get it done this week. And then I'll show you some trees. We've got 3 more pulled up and ready to go, and I'll kind of show you what I do whenever I get a tree ready to start. And what I call bringing up to the drawdown. That means we're going to start working on it. And so some of the preliminary things that I do to kind of get that ready to go. As far as the pattern packs, we were out of a couple and we were back ordered on some. Some of the, I guess I did that around Christmas time just to keep the back orders to where they don't get unruly when people are really in a mode of buying patterns for Christmas, for gifts or whatever. Some of them I turned the back order option off, and I think it was just the new ones I put on because we weren't sure if we could keep up with back order, so I might have turned that off. So if they say sold out, just hang tight. I know last week or the week before we were sold out of, I think it was the rifle scabbard maybe. One of them we were sold out on, and I had a bunch of people calling wanting that one, and so we put them down, and then once they came in, we went ahead and got them sent out to them. But as far as I know, I think we're refilled on everything. So if you have order that maybe has been hanging back for a few days, that may be why. If you got, I know particularly, I think it was the checkbook cover maybe that we were out of. That one's an old pattern and it still sells really well, but it doesn't sell as often as the other ones. So I was we don't keep as many in back stock on those just because they're not like a real super hot seller. But anyway, I think that one we were out of, and we went ahead and refilled that. We have them now, so all those orders should have gone out. But as always, if you have an issue or whatever, you want to check on something, just give us a call here at the shop or shoot us an email, and we'll do our best to check on that for you and go from there. Also, too, when you purchase something from us, you should get an email from us, a confirmation email, and it should have a tracking number if you purchase something we are mailing out to you. You can always click on that and then track it. A lot of times, we don't get any different information than you do. We're more than happy to check that for you and just kind of see the status. We've also got a friend at the post office that she could do a little more in-depth tracking and kind of find out what's going on with a certain package. There was a couple of them during the fray there at Christmas rush, which isn't surprising with all the shipments globally that are going on during that time. But there was a couple that were like hang out at some hub somewhere for 3-4 days, 5 days, not move. And then my post lady would say, well, that's probably going to be coming back. For some reason, it's the address or something. There's an issue with that. It's probably going to come back. I think only one of them came back. The rest of them, all of a sudden, one day you would look and they'd show delivered. And so I don't know what happened. A few of y'all, we dealt with, you and I on the phone trying to figure out what was going on. And it was just kind of stagnant. But anyway, they got that figured out. Or they got those moved forward and they went on. But if that happens, give us a call and we'll try to do our best to kind of hunt it down and see what's going on. And hopefully it's usually going to happen, with me, if something's late getting to me or they're out of order on it or out of stock on it or something like that. It's almost always on a project that I need to get out in a certain time frame. And that's usually when, we're out of that and you need it. Like you need it for a project. You don't have 3 on the shelf and you're just buying extra to have, which isn't a big deal. This is like, I need this by Wednesday so I can get this thing out by Friday for whatever date, completion date that was requested. But unfortunately, that's just nature's law. I guess that's just what happens. But as far as everything else, the podcast, we had our first episode of the year that came out last week or the week before was with Wyman Menzer, and he is a photographer, a trapper, hunter, and wildlife biologist, and the official photographer for the state of Texas. And he's just a real interesting guy. I got turned on to Wyman, I guess last year. A friend of mine had sent me some information about him, and he's a huge fan of Mr. Menzer. And I had really never, I'm sure I'd seen his photography in different publications, magazines and things that I read and stuff, but I just wasn't aware of him. And he is a very interesting guy. He lives in Benjamin, Texas. He's got a heck of a story. If you haven't listened to our podcast in a while, or you didn't know we had a podcast, go to Apple or Spotify and search for Lost Trade Podcast, and you'll find it. And he's the first one for 2023 that we just posted, and it's a fantastic episode. He's just got a really cool story and kind of how he got to where he is, and his life story is just really interesting. We have another one that'll be coming out hopefully this week that's going to be pretty interesting. I really enjoyed that conversation, so be on the lookout for that one. And we've got more interviews scheduled up with some great folks to kind of hear their story. This podcast, I'm having a lot of fun with it because I'm getting to know these folks that I've either followed or looked up to, or maybe never met, maybe met occasionally, and getting to get a little more in depth with what what their story is and how they got started, and kind of the parallels with all of us on how we got into what we do. And these folks are just doing some amazing art and craftsmanship, and a lot of people just don't know a lot of their history and stuff. And so it's a lot of fun. So check out Lost Trade Podcast on Apple or Spotify, or you can go to our website at dgsaddlery.com. Just click on podcast at the top, and there's a player there, and it's got all of the episodes on there, so you can listen to those. I think we're up to over 30 episodes. I don't remember. It's quite a few. We're hoping to eventually take this somewhat on the road, as far as to where if we're at a show somewhere or something, we can have a sit down with some folks and visit with them while they're there in person, and maybe put all those together into one episode that's just got maybe 30 minutes with a bunch of different people, each person. And I think that would be a lot of fun. Speaking of shows, there may be some more shows on the books for us this year, so stay tuned for that. We want to kind of wait until we know everything's kind of ready to go and all that stuff before we announce it, but we will be doing the Waco show again in August. As long as everything goes good, we'll be there at that show, but we may be adding a couple more to our events for this year, things we can do. It's kind of difficult sometimes when you've got livestock and you've got show animals for the kids and things, to go ahead and just leave town for a week. You're basically going to kill a week at one of these shows. So sometimes that's difficult for us, but we're trying to work up to that, where we can be out and about a little bit more and meet some of you guys in person at some of these leather shows and different events and things like that. So we're looking forward to that for this year. Speaking of the kids, last month we actually wrapped up our show series for the heifer shows that they do. And so we finished up last year's series run there, and we had our award ceremony and all that. Kids did great. They showed really well. I think my little boy's getting a little more serious about it now, which is good. He's still little and wants to play around, and sometimes he doesn't want to go in the ring with his heifer and stuff like that, but he gets it, and he's starting to kind of put two and two together. And so my little girl is very competitive. She's really becoming quite the showman, and so we're real proud of that. She actually won a buckle for showmanship and this year, so she was really excited about that, because it was her first year showing as a junior showman, and so that was really neat. And we just wrapped up this past weekend the little Playday series that they've been doing over in Hallettsville. And this Playday series is really good. They've got actual roping events in there. They're not mounted yet, so they're not able to do any as far as breakaway or ribbon roping or anything like that. They're not quite there yet, but they've been competing in the dummy roping and the chute roping. And the last Playday before this one this weekend, my little boy actually caught his calf in the chute roping. First time either one of them's caught a calf in the chute roping, and he was ecstatic. He was so excited, and even won a little bit of money at the end of that deal with his placing. So he didn't know he had the ability to win money at a roping, but that he got addicted to really well. So this weekend he tried his darndest to try to win again, because he wanted to win some money and catch that calf. No luck this weekend, either one of them. I think he placed a little bit in the dummy roping. My daughter didn't do quite as good in the dummy roping this go round, but they're setting good on the average, and that's why I tell them, we're trying to stack up points here. And so we finished up this weekend strong, and we'll see how they place out. I think their award ceremony is in April, and so we'll know then kind of where they sat for the year. But that's the only two events they did, which made it nice, because that Playday, it goes on all day. Obviously, they've got all the speed events and all that kind of stuff. It makes for a long day. They're not doing any kind of poles or barrels. If I can help it, I'm going to try to keep them from doing that, just because I would rather them rope than I would speed events, just my personal preference. But it's whatever they decide they want to do, we'll go from there. But as of right now, since they're just doing those two events, we show up, at the end of the day, watch a little bit of the speed events, and then get to roping the dummy and do the chute roping. We're there for maybe an hour and a half. There's not a whole lot of ropers, and then we're able to kind of be done for the day. So it's actually kind of nice. It's not going to be that way forever. As soon as they get mounted and stuff, they'll be, doing more ropings, more play days, more youth rodeo, hopefully, and I think they're really going to enjoy that. But it allowed us on Saturday to get pretty well almost finished up with the chicken coop that I'm building for my wife and the kids. It's for their little chicken egg business. My main goal with it was to get them out of my barn, because those chickens are in the barn right now in kind of a makeshift stall coop that was there when we moved there. And I don't really like chickens in my barn if I can help it, because they poop on everything. And so that's kind of frustrating. But we love our birds. They're good, they're healthy, they're safe, and so we built them. It started out just being a chicken coop. It's turned into a chicken condo resort, and so hopefully we will get that done this weekend and be able to put them in there, and they're out of my barn. And then I can tear that old chicken coop out. It's been a process, and I probably overbuilt it, over-designed it, and went a little further than my wife intended me to go on this project. But she's really happy with it and excited, and she's ready to start painting it and doing some things and getting everything ready to go. So, but if you follow us on Instagram, you've seen a few pictures on our stories about that. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I'm not a carpenter, but it's hopefully not going to blow down or blow away. If we get a tornado, I don't think any carpentry skills would help that, but we'll see. I think it's I don't think it's going anywhere, and I'm happy with the work. I do know I'm better in here than I am out there with a skill saw and a hammer and stuff, but it is what it is. I don't mind trying little projects like that. And I told her this weekend, if something does happen to it, then we're gonna pay somebody to build the next one, because this has turned into a 3-week project here that should have been done in a weekend. But anyway, we got that almost completed. We're ready to go, and we're happy with it, and the kids are excited. So now they can get some more hens and maybe keep up with the demand they have in town for chicken eggs. They've got 2 or 3 ladies that buy chicken eggs from them, and we've only got 10 hens, so it's hard for them to keep up. So we're hopefully going to get a few more and go from there. Good Lord, I'm glad I'm not buying eggs at the store, because from what I'm hearing, they're super expensive right now. I'm sure that'll adjust and fluctuate, but man, somebody told me some prices the other day, and I couldn't believe it. They better be golden eggs, with some money in them or something, because that seems to be a lot of money for chicken eggs. So if you're having problems finding eggs or keeping up with that pricing on those eggs, buy a few chickens. They don't really take a whole lot of work. I guess unless you got some predators, they're going to peck them off, and that kind of thing. And it's kind of fun. And if you got kids, they really enjoy them too. So we're doing that. But other than that, baseball season's starting this week, and so we're going to be doing practices in the evenings for that. I am an assistant coach on my little boys' coach pitch team, so we're going to be doing that. I'm not a big baseball guy, but I do enjoy baseball, and I don't consider myself worthy to be coaching from a skill set perspective, but I'm going to lend a hand where I can and help our head coach out, and hopefully we can have a good team this year as we did last year, and do well. So that's fixing to gear up. It's getting busy, and so springtime is usually very busy for us, and so we're getting that done. In fact, it's so busy, we've still got Christmas decorations inside the shop. The ones outside the shop came down the end of last week, so they've been up this entire time. We finally got them down, but the inside of the store still has all our Christmas decorations up. We just haven't had time. Sometimes in your business, you got to focus on what the most important thing is at that moment, and kind of let some other things, maybe let them slide a little bit longer, things like that. This time of year, it's always hard because you're trying to get back into the swing of things. And of course, if you take too long, and I do this every year in January, I get a little lazy because we got through Christmas, we got through all that, and it takes me a little while to get geared back up. But then when you look up and you're all of a sudden in the middle of February, it's real easy to say, oh crap, it's going to be Christmas again before we know it. So I'm trying to stay focused and stay job oriented, to where I'm kind of moving my jobs forward, and including our project videos and different things for you guys here. So got a lot of stuff working behind the scenes that hopefully we can get posted and get up, and get everybody rolling again before the year kind of gets away from us even more. So, but let me grab a camera, and I'm going to show you this saddle. We'll talk about it a little bit, and I'll kind of show you a little bit on my trees, kind of what I do to get those started. All right, so this is a saddle that we've been working on, one of the 2, and we'll talk about this other one here in a minute, but this one is a 14.5-inch roper, kind of our standard setup on a roper. It's what we call a 3/4 floral, which means the swells are tooled, the back housings are tooled, the binder, the candleback, the fenders, as well as the stirrups. We also go ahead and tool any kind of accessories like a breast collar. We don't tool the flank girt. I don't find it necessary at all to waste any time tooling any part of a flank girt, unless you're doing some type of show saddle that's you're gonna compete with or something. You want to take the time, but my experience is the flank girt gets completely trashed and not taken care of and really abused, and so there's no reason to waste any time putting any kind of floral on that. That's just my personal opinion. It's almost like the horn. A horn on a roper especially is going to get, on a competitive roper, is going to get burned up so much and abused so much it's almost waste of time to go ahead and put any floral up here. But you know, we do it on these that are a little bit more heavily tooled. You've seen the video where we transferred the floral pattern on the fenders. This is the saddle we were doing that those fenders for. This saddle also has a padded seat with a stitch pattern in it. The tree that I used on this saddle is a Billy Hog tree, and this tree was requested by the customer. We build on a few of his trees every year. You know, and I enjoy them. They're great to build on. They fit good. People like them, and so if they're requested, that's who we'll use. And it went together really well. I'm really happy with how this saddle went together. It has a in-skirt rig, which is my preferred version nowadays. I used to never do very many at all in-skirt rigs, but with the help of a good friend and stuff over the years, I've kind of gotten to where I really like them. And I've actually converted a couple Texas cowboys that now trust these, which is hard for us down here, that just because they've experienced had bad experiences with inskirts before in the past, or heard of somebody that had. So it's really hard to get people used to, when they're done properly. They are probably one of the strongest rigs out there, and so we really enjoy them. I like building them that way. And like I said, we also did a 3-piece breast collar here to match. And so this saddle will go out this week. We'll get with the customer and finalize everything, and this saddle will go out. And then we'll go ahead and talk about this next saddle that I'm building too. We started these two at the same time, and so this one here is a little bit further behind, but it will be finished up this week as well, most likely. So this is the other saddle here that we were building. And this is on a bull association. This is what Ray Lewis calls his bull association. I really like this tree. It's kind of a modification of a few different style fronts, but I like the thickness of the stock. I like the lip on the front and the width of the swells with the undercut here. Just a little bit more security in there. I think it's a beefy looking tree. It looks ranchy. I really like it. This one is a smaller seat size than I normally build in a ranch saddle. I don't get it on our ropers. 14.5 is our top selling seat size. That's the most popular. But on ranch saddles, it's usually 15 to 16. Somewhere around in there is usually more popular. Guys are working out of. But this one here is a 14.5. It's a little smaller than what I'm used to building as far as ranch saddles, but I think it's going to work out great. That's what the guy requested, and so that's what we did. It's just a full rough out. I did a little bit of a line here, just a decorative double bead line, just to add something. And we did a rolled front right here. But this seat we put in, I pulled it in on Friday, did final cut and reset of it on Saturday. We were in here for just a little bit, and so now this seat's ready to go in. So we'll do all our sanding, edging, all that kind of stuff, and we'll go ahead and put this seat in, and it'll be ready to go. So as you can see here, I've got 3 trees pulled up. These are the 3 that we're going to start next. 2 of these are for a customer. 1 of these is a secret. So we'll talk about that later on as the springtime progresses. But what I usually do with these, the first thing that I do is I want to put these leather blocks in here. For years, we would just build the ground seat and then cut those blocks out. That's where your stirrup leather is going to come through. When I initially learned how to build saddles, the guy I learned from would do this thing right here. He would put these blocks in, then you build your ground seat around it, and then when you get ready to put your stirrup leathers in near the end of the saddle build, you pull those out. So it's just got 1 nail there. You pop that nail up, and this slides out. I got away from doing that for a very long time just because another guy I was building with just cut the slots out for the stirrup leathers. So we got to doing that, and then subsequently I have gone back to doing it this way. I prefer it this way. Makes things a lot easier. It guarantees too that you're leaving enough space as you build that ground seat for a stirrup leather to pass through. If you don't do these blocks, it can be very easy to get your ground seat too thin right here, which would in turn cause a lump for the stirrup leathers inside the top end of the seat. And so I prefer doing them this way. That's why I've gone back to doing them like that. The other thing that I do is I put a center line here and on the horn, and then we use a laser leveler or laser grid to shoot a line across there, so I can have me a center mark there and then one down here inside there. That also allows me to get these exactly right. I trust my tree maker, either Hog or Ray Lewis, that line is straight, and so I can trust that, but I like to shoot a grid on it, a horizontal line. That way I know that when I put these blocks in, I don't have them skewed. I trust their slots being straight, but it's very easy to get those blocks in there skewed a little bit, which can cause the rider sometimes to feel a little bit of difference in their stirrup leathers. And so that's why I use a laser. I'll show you all that more in depth in another video, but that's kind of where we start. That's the first step. When I get ready to pull a tree up and get started on it, is we're going to put our reference marks on there so we know where the center of the tree is, and then we're going to put our blocks in. All three of these trees now are ready to go ahead and start putting the ground seat in, put the horn on, then we can move forward. Now, if you're interested in seeing how an entire saddle is built or how I build a saddle from start to finish, we do have a video that we created that shows you from cutting all the parts all the way through building the entire saddle. It's kind of a sped up or a hyper speed type video. I think the old video is 30 minutes long, but it shows pretty well all the steps on what I go through to build a saddle. Putting those grid lines in there, putting those blocks in are in that video. If you want to see that, you can always pause or scrub around, see the areas that you want to. If you haven't seen that video, go check that out. It's a full saddle build, and that's on our YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys watching. We're going to get back to work, try to finish up some saddles, create some content this week for you guys. If you're not already, go to Instagram and follow us. If you are on Instagram, we post quite a bit there. We're going to try to start posting a little bit more on YouTube with the shorts, because we do reel every once in a while on Instagram. We're not huge on reels, but we do a few of them. And so we might start pulling some of those over and posting those on YouTube for you guys as well, if this is the only place that you're at. But if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and visit our website at dgsaddlery.com and sign up for our Leathercraft newsletter. And I appreciate you guys, and we'll see y'all next week in the Monday briefing.